Welcome to EMBR.ACE Education, a podcast where we explore what it means to lead with well-being, care, and curiosity in today's schools. I'm Effie, and today I'm really excited to bring you a very special episode. As many of you know, together with Kia, our guest today, we co-created the Empowered initiative, aiming to turn each school into a well-being ecosystem buzzing with happiness. With Empowered, we've been running important research on teacher well-being and burnout levels here in Greece. And beyond research, we've already supported more than 500 active and student teachers across the country through training opportunities. And we're learning so much about how well-being is shaping the lives of educators. So today, we'll dive deeper into this topic with our guest, who brings a unique perspective that bridges teacher education, applied linguistics, and a growing interest in well-being. Kia, so happy to have you with us. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. This is a wonderful initiative, raising awareness of the educational community in Greece and elsewhere, of course, about the importance of teacher well-being. So thank you very much for inviting me, Effie.
Thank you for finding the time. It wasn't easy, but we managed.
It's that time of the year, that is.
Exactly. That's true. That's true. All right. So let me say a very few of the amazing things you're doing and you've done so far. So Evdokia Karavas is a Professor of Applied Linguistics and teaching English as a foreign language at the Department of English Language and Literature at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. She coordinates the pedagogic and teaching competence program, preparing future teachers of English, and has led major international teacher training projects for foreign language teachers in Greece. She also serves as a Deputy Director of the Research Center for Language Teaching, Testing and Assessment. She's a member of the Central Examination Board for the national exams for language here in Greece, and she is also scientifically responsible for the training of oral examiners and markers for the KPG exams in English. Although her academic expertise is in applied linguistics, and this is how we met because we're running together the empowerment program for the University of Athens. She has recently stepped into the well-being space through her involvement in the Empowered initiative and the coordination of this program at the NQUA. Now, Evdokia, welcome to the podcast again, and let's dive in right away. So I'd like to start with you personally. I do believe that whatever we do usually has a personal feeling. So how would you describe your own journey with well-being, both as an educator and as a person who navigates the academic life?
Yeah. Well, actually, my own journey with well-being started when my well-being was severely jeopardized. It was during the pandemic, during the lockdowns, actually, when at that time, apart from my various teaching responsibilities at university, I was also director of the Language and Linguistics division of my department. So I also had a heavy kind of administrative responsibility. So when the first lockdown took place, apart from trying to manage my own emotions and teaching, I also had to help my colleagues and support the department more generally, and help them deal with this new terrifying situation. I had to help organize teaching and guide my colleagues through the challenges of online teaching, which at that time actually was something completely new for the University of Athens.
And for everybody.
For everybody, exactly. At that same time, I was also involved in another project with two other colleagues. This was a project of the Municipality of Athens. This project, amongst many other things, offered language courses to adult refugees. So we were responsible for providing the training teachers, language teachers, to provide Greek language and English language support to adult refugees in Athens. So this was another kind of context that I had to deal with. Now, you can imagine how isolated, how terrified and alone these people felt during lockdown. Our refugee learners had no idea what was happening. They could not understand and follow the directions of the government on what to do, what not to do, and so on. They were literally in a terrifying limbo. We had to train our language teachers to support and help their refugee learners and also support themselves during the lockdowns. So all of this resulted in 16 hours a day in front of the computer, having meetings, training sessions, or teaching day after day. I wasn't eating well. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't training. I wasn't exercising at all. And I was in a state of constant tension and anxiety to help, to guide, to give. But I forgot in this process to help myself. As a result, some months later, after this very grueling program, I caught a virus. It was not coronavirus, but something very similar, which sent me directly to hospital because my immune system was literally non-existent. I stayed in hospital for 12 days, and it was a terrifying experience, but also a life-changing experience. It was an eye-opener because I had time to take stock, to reflect, to understand why a virus, which would otherwise lead me to stay in bed for a week, let's say, why did it lead me to hospital? Why? Because I wasn't taking care of myself. I was burnt out. I was at the verge of utter exhaustion. And this was my body's way of telling me, hey, hold on, slow down, take it easy, or else. So that's what I did. I changed my lifestyle, my diet. I took up yoga. I found time every day to dedicate to myself what makes me happy. And most importantly, I stopped making my work my main and only priority. So that was my personal kind of entrance to the area of well-being.
Amazing. It sounds, well, the way you describe it sounds fascinating, but I guess it must have been a really grueling time for you.
It was. But I mean, I always try to see, especially after that experience, I always try to see the positive side. And the positive side was that I was awakened. I realized, that this isn't really life. I have to pay attention. I have to invest in myself. I have to spend time for myself in order to be well, because if I'm not well, I'm not going to do my job well either. It's so simple.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And this is something women educators especially forget.
Yeah.
We have so many responsibilities, roles to take care of. And you used three beautiful verbs. You said, I was there to help, guide, give.
Yeah.
And so these roles absorb all our energy, and there is no time to give energy, time, everything. So there is no time, sometimes no time to give to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the personal part, and thank you for being so open and vulnerable and sharing your story with us. Academically, is there something that also draws you towards the subject of well-being and teacher burnout, since it sits a bit outside your original domain?
Well, yeah. Well, first and foremost, I'm a teacher educator. I prepare future teachers of English at my department, and I also am an educator for in-service teachers. So I'm always kind of very sensitive to emotions, feelings, their challenges, problems, and so on. At the same time, I always try to keep up to date with research and literature on teacher education. So having gone through this experience, and trying to, keep up to date with the latest on teacher education, I kept seeing the term well-being, school well-being, teacher well-being, burnout, anxiety, and teacher attrition, and so on. And I started reading loads of reports from UNESCO, the EU, the OECD, stressing the necessity of making teacher and student well-being a priority, and how important it is for teachers to, but also how vulnerable they are in maintaining mental health and educational continuity. So what all these reports really stress is that supporting teachers' emotional and mental and professional health is not an option. It is absolutely essential for sustainable educational systems. And of course, at the same time, I was reading research, and the numbers, the statistics were horrifying. Because of these very high burnout rates, the teaching profession has lost its attractiveness. People don't want to become teachers anymore. Teachers are leaving the profession by their hundreds, and that's a major concern. So that's how I became.
That's how it started for you.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the personal and this is the academic aspect of your interest. And it's really interesting. I don't know if you've seen, UNESCO is running a campaign on social media about well-being in education. I was impressed.
Really?
When I said yes, for teachers and students. I was really impressed to see that I saw it in Facebook and Instagram. I don't know about LinkedIn, but really it's ringing bells, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously very important to take precedence over everything else.
I can understand that. Actually, the Erasmus Plus Teacher Academy call, this year's call, added teacher well-being as one of its thematic areas. So that's very telling of how much importance is given to teacher well-being. Yeah.
And that's at last I've been talking about teacher well-being for more than a decade now, and I see that I sometimes say this as a joke, but it's not really a joke. The pandemic was the gift of the pandemic was that teacher well-being took center stage into research, into initiatives to support it, like our own initiative, actually.
Yeah.
And it was the reason why we met.
Well, exactly. Yeah. It was in my search, after I had become so sensitive to this. And of course, I shouldn't forget, I have close contact and cooperation with English teachers because I'm in the English department throughout Greece, in-service teachers. And for years, I've been hearing these horror stories from teachers because
it's not new.
No, exactly. It's not. No. Foreign language teachers generally in Greece, this is a situation, need to teach in 3 and 4 schools in order to complete their teaching schedule. So this means that they're literally throughout the day running from one school to the next, not being able to become an organic part of any school, dealing with different headmasters, different school cultures, different groups of colleagues, and of course, being always regarded as teachers of a secondary, not primary subject. So they have this special status and special work arrangements that make them very vulnerable to burnout and stress, English teachers in Greece.
Yeah.
So that's another reason that made me very sensitive to the issue. Yeah.
That reminds me of a study by Sarah Mercer and her associates on the status of teacher well-being, English teacher well-being, or second language teacher well-being. And it was exactly what you're saying. They're considered like second level, if you wish, teachers. And since we're talking about in-service teachers, are there any other patterns that have caught your attention regarding them?
What patterns you mean in Greece?
Yes, obviously.
Apart from meeting you, because I was in search of somebody you kind of helped me in this venture of kind of supporting teachers, English teachers, in terms of well-being. I hadn't come across any research or any studies in Greece. It was as if, in Greece, we lived on cloud nine and we had absolutely no problems in the literature, in the academic literature. So I was looking for somebody to help me investigate this issue. And as you know, we met purely by chance at a conference. And I think we clicked immediately. We very quickly realized that we're on the same wavelength. We have the same vision. And we started the Empowered Initiative, as you said in the beginning, which really has three pillars. The first pillar is supporting education advisors to support and empower teachers to be more effective and resilient in their work. And of course, also offering support to in-service teachers. So that's one strand. The other is developing a training program and supporting pre-service teachers in issues of well-being. And the third was the research strand, the research component. And we designed a questionnaire in order to investigate teachers' levels of well-being, anxiety, burnout, and their levels of job satisfaction. And from this research, I think
I wanted to excuse me to interrupt. So very, very key alike. You set up very clearly the three strands of the Empowered Initiative, and we've already talked about the teachers and the in-service teachers and their own well-being and everything we've been doing so far to empower them. So I wanted to ask you about pre-service teachers and then go to the research. What do you see? What do you see in them because it's part of your job? Is it what challenges do they have when it comes to well-being during studying?
Yeah. Well, first of all, student teachers are a challenging and very different group from pre-service teachers, from in-service teachers, in the sense that they have different needs and different concerns. For one, they haven't ever taught. Okay, so they don't have that experience. We have about 250 student teachers every year who complete their teaching practice at a school of their own choice in Attiki, at some school. Now, I should say this, that before they go on to teaching practice, I think that they live on a cloud, but this cloud has been described. It has been, by someone called Lordy, who has talked about the apprenticeship, I'm sure you know him, of observation. These student teachers have spent thousands of hours, Lordy actually says 14,000 hours, observing teaching. Anyone who has gone through school has spent
yes, they're teachers
not only student teachers, exactly. Everyone thinks that they can teach. Actually, teaching is very simple, and you just need to know your stuff, and you can teach. They seriously lack an understanding of the pedagogical decisions, of the knowledge, the abilities, the competencies that are required by teachers, and they rarely understand the complexity and number of decisions, on-the-spot decisions that a teacher needs to make. So before they start their teaching practice, they have lots of experience as observers. They're on the other side. When they start their teaching practice, they go on the other side of the classroom. They've never been there. They need to stand in front of a class of 25 students. They need to deal with 25 pairs of eyes staring at them. And that's when reality hits. So what are they anxious about? At the beginning, before they start their teaching practice, they're usually anxious a bit anxious because they don't know what to expect. Whether they will get on with their mentor, because that's also an issue that they're anxious about. Whether they will be accepted and respected by the students and so on. Anxiety. But when they start teaching, that's when stress that's when stress becomes the monster when they start teaching. That's when reality really hits. So they're very, very stressed, especially about time management. They don't know how to manage time, but this is something that comes, of course, with experience. And they're very stressed with student management, how to keep the class disciplined in order, and how to provide stimulating and motivating, engaging lessons to students. That's their greatest stressor.
Yeah, right. And actually, I remember some of the students reaching out to me, asking for support to deal with their stress, which is it gives hope that really they're ready to ask for help, because this is one of the steps of well-being. Being ready and to ask for help and be willing to accept it when it's given. So yes, I understand that. So this is mostly at the last part of their studies when they're ready to go to the practical level. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So we've talked about in-service teachers. We've talked about pre-service teachers. How about your research in general? We're running a research. How many teachers have taken it so far? I think it's more than around 500.
Around 500 have completed the questionnaire.
Yes,
they're English teachers.
Yes.
And I mean, I didn't expect really so many to have completed the questionnaire, and I think
it's a long one. It's a long questionnaire.
It's a long questionnaire,
yes,
exactly. And the thing is that they're fed up with questionnaires, because every PhD student or MA student in Greece, designs a questionnaire and gives it out to teachers. So they're really bored of filling in questionnaires. So I was quite surprised. Now, the findings were quite interesting. I think one of the most interesting findings was that almost half of the respondents felt nervous or stressed very often or often in the last month. An overwhelming majority felt that they could not cope with all the things that they had to do, the multitasking business. Over 60% stated that workload and balancing work and life responsibilities, this balance made them feel very stressed and unhappy at work.
Yes.
And as far as the causes of stress, apart from workload and work-life balance, almost half also mentioned students and their special the challenges that students pose, mental health issues, their problems, learning issues, difficulties, problems at home, and not being able to deal with them. That causes them stress. Also, around half of our respondents stated that they felt relaxed almost never. That was also quite sad.
Yeah, that's surprising and sad.
Yeah. But the results, I think, are very similar to global results on teacher stress and anxiety.
Both for the causes and for the level of burnout. What I found very interesting is that almost half say that or more than half say that they have difficulty dealing with daily stressors. But on the other hand, it's they said, and pastoral concerns, as you said, pastoral concerns were a big issue for them. But on another question, saying, do you know how to deal with students' issues? The answers were mostly yes,
Yeah.
which is, it's interesting. It means something.
It's this kind of tendency of teachers to show that they know their stuff, that they're not lacking in knowledge or ability, because they don't know who's going to see the results, how these results, although we had explained that it's anonymous and so on.
Yeah.
But I think because I've seen it many times in questionnaires given to teachers, they don't want to seem lacking in ability or knowledge in an area. So that's why they say, yes, we know how to deal with it. Well, but they also said, if you remember, Effie, they also said, more than half said that they desperately need training and information and awareness raising about mental health issues
Yes, indeed. And that's what we're doing together with Empowered. So we're trying to touch the subject from of well-being in education from every possible angle, so that the result is actually something that can support teachers in their own journey, whether before they start or after.
Exactly.
Their teaching journey. Time is running, and I wanted to ask you if you could give one piece of advice to student teachers entering the profession. What would it be to help them protect their well-being?
I would say, don't worry. We've all been through the same motions. We've all gone through the same emotions. All teachers, I mean. Teaching, among many other things, I believe, is an art that is cultivated and refined over time with practice and through trial and error. I tell them, you're going to make mistakes. You can't teach without making mistakes, but be prepared to accept them and learn from them, because teaching is really never-ending learning.
Once a teacher, always a student.
Yes, exactly.
One more question that we're going to put before the last one. We're going to change the story. What do you think are the most urgent steps that institutions, policymakers need to take to better support teacher well-being in Greece and across Europe?
In Greece.
Let's concentrate to Greece, I think.
Okay. Well, in Greece, as I said, teacher and school well-being is completely neglected. It's not an issue. And I think it has to become an issue, as it has become in all European countries and other countries of the world. I think it's essential, first of all, to offer training. This is what teachers also said. Training on developing teachers' social and emotional competencies, and to provide teachers with information and training on mental well-being, on their own mental well-being, and how to deal with and manage student well-being. So a need for training. I think that's absolutely important. I think an expert group needs to be set up by the ministry, comprising of researchers, teachers, psychologists, to develop evidence-based policy recommendations in order to tackle with well-being challenges faced by Greek teachers and students. And make, of course, recommendations to the Ministry of Education, but based on evidence and based on specific challenges that teachers face. And also to develop and sustain support and feedback mechanisms. Teachers don't have mechanisms to turn to if they're facing a problem. From our questionnaire, when we ask teachers, when you have a problem or you feel stressed, who do you turn to for advice or help? And most teachers said, another colleague. Yes, but another colleague may not be able to help you. The other colleague is not a professional in the area. So I think that support mechanisms need to be set up so that teachers know where to go in case they're facing an issue.
Peer support, of course, comes up right in research as very, very important in teacher well-being. So this is another area I would say there needs to be some kind of framework where teachers can meet within the teaching hours or maybe at the end of the teaching week, I don't know, so that they can share camaraderie, support, problems, solutions. Right.
I think that one of the things that we have noticed in the trainings that we offer to teachers is how grateful they are that for once the training didn't focus on new methods, new techniques, how to assess students and so on. For once, training focused on them.
Yeah.
Their emotions, their feelings, their challenges, their problems. I'm so grateful. And what a wonderful time we had during those seminars and workshops, because we opened up and we shared our stories, our challenges, and how much teachers enjoyed, but we're also very grateful for. So I think what you said is absolutely essential. Kind of establishing a network of teachers so they can develop bonds and share.
Right. Community, a spirit of community.
Exactly.
And that's all. It's also important. It's important to mention that counselors inviting us to create those workshops are also realizing the need to support teacher well-being as such, not for the students, but for the teachers foremost, first and foremost for them. Right. Amazing discussion. I knew it was going to be like this, and I'm really happy that we had the chance. Okay, at the end, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your insights, your reflections with us today. It's been inspiring to hear how your journey in applied linguistics and personal life has connected with our shared work on well-being. But before we say goodbye, it's time for a signature game we play with all our guests here. It's called Embrace It. 3 quick questions, and you answer with just 1 or 2 words. Yes?
Okay.
Ready? All right. So what's one daily habit that you embrace to support your well-being?
Always find time for yourself every day. Whether it's half an hour, to do something that makes you happy. Find time for yourself.
Find time for yourself. Okay. What challenge in education do you think we need to embrace instead of avoid?
I think one challenge that we need to embrace is teaching students how to learn and unlearn. This age of constant fluidity and change. I mean, just focusing on transmitting knowledge, information, facts to students really is a waste of time. Students can find this information on the spot through the internet, and it's such a boring process for students. What we need to do is help them become adaptable so that they can navigate this fluidity and ambiguity. We need to make them critical thinkers, able to discern valid, true information in this world flooded with misinformation. And I think we need also to normalize failure as part of learning. In other words, we need to make students see mistakes, errors, failure, not as a setback, but as a stepping stone, something to learn from and will take them further. And
Right.
generally teaching students to unlearn. In other words,
Mm-hmm.
go of outdated knowledge when new evidence, of course, emerges. So
Mm-hmm.
learning how to learn and unlearn, I think that is the challenge of education that we shouldn't avoid.
Right.
That's the way
Right.
forward for me.
Okay. So learn, as we say, learn, unlearn, and relearn,
And
but in a
relearn,
different
because
way.
that's
Yeah,
that's the next
right. The next step. Wonderful. Evdokia, thank you so much for sharing everything, all of this knowledge and wisdom with us today. Thank you for playing along. Thank you for everything. And
It was a pleasure. Effie, thank you. I'm all for whatever your initiatives, what you offer to the educational community. You think, I support you. So, and I think that this initiative, as I said, is a great awareness raising initiative. And so it was my pleasure.
And I do hope it was my pleasure as well. And I do hope the initiative grows so that it touches every
I'm
single
sure we're
school.
going to have followers. Yes.
True. All right. For our listeners, then, if you'd like to follow more, as Kia said, about the Empowered Initiative and how you can involve, stay tuned to our updates, join the conversation, and explore the resources we'll continue to share. Supporting teacher well-being isn't just about individual resilience. It's not a luxury. It's about building a healthier education system for everyone. Thank you for listening to Embrace Education. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and don't forget to embrace the small things that keep you well.